ThatGreatBusinessShow.com is brought to you by De Facto Shaving Oil, the best anyone can get. Made in Ireland, sold worldwide.
Welcome to ThatGreatBusinessShow.com, episode 13, broadcasting on the 18th of December 2020. We bring you an hour plus of business positivity every week. No begrudgers here, only Team GBS members here to help others in business. And today we have Wexford Preserves, a Wexford family, a business that keeps on winning international awards for their marmalades, jammy or just plain hard work. She had a high-flying international marketing career with Heineken, but Karen O'Neill decided to give it up to start her own unique drinks business, BeeKon. Are you sitting comfortably? Yes. Well, one-time Kerry GAA men's football physio Ed Harnet's startup, Alcass, wants to change all that and make you sit up properly. And if it's all going brilliantly for Sonia Neary's company, Wellola, you may never have to go to the doctor again, and COVID may mean that her timing just couldn't be better. All this and more on ThatGreatBusinessShow.com. That's what the podcast is called because that's where you will find us. We're on all the big podcast platforms, so if you enjoy what you hear, please tell your pals about us and to tell them to subscribe wherever they listen to their podcasts. Today, as I mentioned, is number 13, and it's brought to you, as always, by De Facto Shaving Oil for men and women. It's the best anyone can get. Buy it online. The perfect stocking filler.
That Great Business Show.
And speaking of Christmas, my own elf on the shelf, I'm joined, as usual, by co-host Jamie Heaslip, former rugby player, entrepreneur, investor.
I'm not in a red suit now.
And high performance coach. Jamie, how are you?
I'm good. I'm very good.
Had you a good business week?
Yeah, it was my birthday this week.
I saw that on social media. You were brung out by your lady wife.
Yeah, I was...
big birthday.
Yeah. I'm a lovely 37, but I actually thought I was younger, so it was a bit depressing. I kind of forgot what age I was. I've stopped counting. I'm young in heart.
You're only 37. When it add a few more years and then you can start forgetting. or it maybe just happens. Tell me, your Jamie's words of wisdom, your weekly words of wisdom.
I don't know if I've used this one before, but I just said talent is nothing without discipline.
You're very disciplined, aren't you? And I do mean that. I
try to be. I'm not always disciplined, but I try to be.
But that's part of what has got you to where you are.
It's got me there, and hopefully it will get me to wherever it is I'm going next. But we'll figure that part out as we go along as well.
And people that you coach, do you really kick discipline into them?
With the kind of the individuals that I work with, what works for me doesn't necessarily work for them. You know what I mean?
I am that soldier.
Yeah.
Not that you're coaching me, but I just know. Wouldn't work for me.
So, yeah. You kind of got to figure out what works best for them and what they want to achieve. It doesn't really matter what I achieve. I just do what works for me.
Okay. That sounds good to me. Now, we have been a fan of Wexford Preserves for years now. Some years back, just after interviewing them, they got a call from the Dunnes Stores jam buyer who had heard the interview and offered to list them under their Simply Better brand. Since then, they've never looked back. They've previously won the award for the world's best marmalade, as family-run businesses from Wexford do. And then last week they popped up on my radar again when they won the top award at the Irish Quality Food Awards. The mantelpiece in New Ross must be literally creaking. It's a small margin, high volume business, which must be probably the hardest product for any startup to make a success of. So how do they do it? Tom Sinnott is co-founder with his wife Laura of Wexford Preserves, but COVID rules means we can only have one of them in the studio. So Tom, you drew the short straw.
Yeah, not a bad place to be though.
Well, I think you might prefer to be down below us here in the shops, etc. Tom.
Well, most important question, the first. You have a scone. What do you put on it and what does your wife put on it?
Strawberry jam for me, Wexford strawberry jam. Ooh. And my wife, I suppose, she's marmalade. She's a marmalade woman, so we're jam and marmalade.
Does that cause any fights at home?
Yeah, a little bit. Well, yeah, because I'm just totally jam and that's it. She's actually both. She'll go both, but not me. Jam all the way.
Where did it all start?
It all started with my Aunt Ellen in 1988. She was selling strawberries. Like a lot of families in Wexford at that time were selling strawberries on the side of the road, and they'd be only selling like small amounts. But she hated waste. So when she was left with strawberries in the evening, she made jam. So she made the jam. She started selling the jam with the strawberries. More people were coming for the jam than they were the strawberries. So she just started building it, and she gave up the strawberries eventually, and she started selling jam, and she started making marmalade to go with the jam. So then she got a listing with Super Quinn here in Dublin, and she was supplying 20 odd stores with the local stores down in Wexford. And by that stage, she was actually ready for her retirement, really. You know, by the time she'd made it big, I suppose, she'd hit retirement age, and she actually put the business up for sale. And my father came home one day and said to me, "Do you know Aunt Ellen is selling the jam business?" And I was like, "Why are you telling me this?" And I says, "I don't know anything about making jam."
What were you doing?
It was at the end of the recession, and I had my own building company. And Laura she was in hotel and catering, and she'd got let go from her job in Bosch and Lamb. She was in pharmaceuticals at that time. So both of us were really unemployed. So we said to ourselves, we were always wanting to do something together. So we said, look, we'll give it a go. And we went down to see her premises, and it wasn't really where we wanted to be because it was nearly an hour's drive for us. So we moved it back to New Ross, reset up. Aunt Ellen came with us for a year. She was part of the deal. And she showed Laura all the recipes. She has this big, thick book, and she went through all the recipes with Laura. And every day she'd go home a little bit earlier every day. And then one day she just didn't come back. So and we were on our own. But it was a great learning curve. Like, it was absolutely fantastic. Like, at the start, we went out. The first day, I'll never forget, I went out on the road, and I filled the van, and I went around local, and I had a route planned out, and I got halfway, and the van was empty.
Oh, happy days.
I knew then. I said, this is going to work. So, but that was in 2010, 9, 10. It was tough times. There were a lot of no's as well. But I knew there was something in it then, because I had a good reputation for the last 20 odd years, I suppose. So, yeah.
Under the same brand.
Under the
Wexford
same brand.
Preserves.
We kept the same Wexford Home Preserves at the time it was called. So we kept that same name. And the reputation is built now, and people know us, and we still make it the same way Aunt Ellen started making it that very first day.
So tell me about that. Like, so is it still by hand, a lot of the process? So how do you scale that? Because that's got to be so labour intensive.
Yeah, it is labour intensive. And I suppose we're at that premium end of the market. So if we go down the road of not being at that end, then you're raced to the bottom, we think. So we're staying at that premium level, doing it by hand. And we found easier ways in doing it than Ellen did at the start. You know, just simpler ways of doing things. But it's still the same. We big saucepans, big spoons. We stir them saucepans, and now there's a lot of saucepans, but it works, and the customers want it. And you know, if the customers didn't like it, they tell you too. So you know.
But does that become a headache the more and more as you scale? So you've got a listing with Dunn's, for example. You know, let's say you get a listing somewhere else. Yeah. You know, or you guys do the Simply Food range part of Dunn's, for example, as well as your own. Yeah. You scale that out. You go to UK markets. I mean, doing by hand. And is it seasonal as well?
Not so much. What happens with us is I suppose you have Christmas, which is crazy busy now. This time of year is crazy. But
that's why he wanted to be up here. He didn't want to be in the office.
This is my first day out of a factory in a long time. So we have to be careful, like what we take on, and we've took it on in small bits with Simply Better and Dunn stores as well. So we've took it on since 2013. We've took on something small, and then we've expanded our factory where we work to suit. So we've done it, and we're able to keep doing it. But I suppose you do have to be careful. Like, it is a very handmade product and a very quality product. We don't want to ruin that. So we don't go chasing big contracts that we can't do. So
how many have you working for you now?
We've 13 working for us, including myself and Laura. So it's a small enough crew as well. And everyone chips in, and everyone does a bit of everything. So, you know, yeah.
You're not alone, though, on the shelf.
No.
And there are big brands.
Yeah.
Who do have the scale. Do they not kind of squeeze your margins so badly?
Do you know what? Not so much, because the Irish retailers have been really good to us. The likes of Dunn's, Musgraves, SuperValu, Tesco, they've been really good. Like, I was in Tesco today, and they have a timber stand of our stock in the store, and they give you extra space where the other guys wouldn't get that. And they recognise local, a lot of them as well, and they've been really good to us. So not so much, no. We find it, I think being a local product, it means a lot these days, especially now with COVID. We've seen great support from retailers and customers during COVID. So I think people are starting to recognise that supporting local is really important.
And then trying to get international, or have you gone international?
We have in the past. It's not something we're chasing. We think we can do a lot more in Ireland, even with what we're doing. Like what I always say to the guys who are selling into stores, I say, right, you've 8 products in there, try get another 2 products in. Instead of going looking for more stores, try get into a different aisle in the shop or get a different fixture.
So what other products do you have? Sorry.
So we've jams, marmalades, we'd have chutneys, we've relish, we have cranberry sauce, brandy butter, minced meat, we've an array of sliced beetroot.
But is there one product that's like,
marmalade?
Yeah, out and out marmalade.
Not any marmalade. The Seville
marmalade.
So tell us what's special about the Seville one.
The Seville marmalade. So we deal with an organic grower in Spain, and they're a family farm, husband and wife, Jose and Amadora, and we go to them every January. We actually placed the order only this week, and on the 10th, about the 10th of January, these 2 big pallets or 3 big pallets of Seville oranges will come in. The smell when they open the back of the truck is unbelievable. But then we have to take out, this is the part I hate, we have to start pipping them. So there's 15, 20 pips in each Seville orange, all de-pipped by hand. And then we cut them, soak them overnight, and the next day we start cooking. And it's the nicest marmalade you'll ever get, I think.
And I will give it
I'm actually looking at
101%.
Conal here salivating. He should have put a bowl underneath his mouth.
Since the first day that I ever tasted it, when you were with me in a radio studio,
Yeah.
I just said, this is special.
Yeah,
and
it is
it really
special,
is
yeah.
fantastic. Now, that is the one that won the World Award, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, we've won a few of the World Awards ones.
See that?
Just a few.
Just a few. But Seville,
Mike Furlong never told me about the marmalade down in Wexford. He told me a lot about the strawberries. He also tried to convince me that he was a truffle farmer, and I called bullshit in that one.
I know his father quite well, and yeah. So, yeah, but the marmalade, I think it's the way we do the marmalade, and it's so special. There's nobody really doing what we do.
What would the rest of the market normally do? Sorry, when it comes to marmalade for us novices.
Oh, I don't know, because we'd be in a different category. I suppose like you have the top big sellers, and then we're kind of mid-range. So you mean different?
Well, is your technique unique?
Yeah,
is it the type of strawberry?
It's the technique. It's the technique.
Orange that you're
All
using?
the technique.
Okay.
It's because you're bringing in that fresh fruit. There's nobody really doing that anymore. Bringing in fresh fruit like that.
And how many ingredients do you have in your...
2. So fruit and sugar.
That's it.
That's it.
Did you never make jam when you were a kid?
But
Do I look like a person? That's my
I can
jam.
see a big bowl.
I can eat it. I can eat it really well.
Even the pips, we use the pips. So all the pips that come out, we put them in a bag and we put them into the marmalade, and they give you a pectin to set it. Like so you can buy this as a chemical as such,
Yeah.
but we don't do that. We use those pips, and every single part of that orange is used. No
So that
ways.
brings me back to, I know you are trying to be 100% kind of sustainable sustainable company.
Yeah.
And you say you'd love to pass this on to your kids.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because generational type businesses tend not to last past 2-3 generations. And then you're in a product that's quite difficult to be sustainable. So talk to me about those 2 themes that you have there and what you want to try and achieve.
You mean with the family, I suppose?
Well, the family first, and then how what you do to make sure that you are sustainable as possible.
I suppose the family end of the thing, and I always said it from day one, is it's not necessarily a thing I'm building for my children. It's if they want to do it, brilliant. If they don't want to do it, they don't have to do it, because I don't think that's the right way for us to go down the road to force them into the business. I want them to get educated, do their college, go off, and hopefully someday they'll come back to us and say, we're educated now, right, come on, let's see what you can do. But I'll have them in there, I think they're 9 and 10 now, so I'll have them in there in the next 5 or 6 years.
Surely they are working the farms now, no?
Well, I started when I was 9, so packing spuds, so I think...
I think it's against the law nowadays.
Oh, sorry, I should have said that.
If it's your own kids, it doesn't count.
It does not.
It's grand.
I'll
have my
say
daughter in there cleaning glasses soon enough in the pub.
Yeah, I think it's okay. A little bit.
The future.
The future, yeah.
What do you want? What would you like? Can Team GBS help you?
I suppose to grow the way we're growing at the moment, sustainably is massively important to us. It's not something we want to go down the road and mass produce product. We don't want to do that. So we're looking to grow our product, and we're growing it every year, and that's the way we want to be, but keep a quality product.
Well, that's the first time I've ever said this, I think. I don't want you to grow so long as you keep that quality. Because it is a magnificent product.
Yeah. And we totally agree with that. That's our goal.
What about other retailers? Would you like them to ring you up and say,
oh, yeah.
They've heard the podcast, they want you?
Yeah, always looking for new stores. And that can be quite difficult at times. When people don't know the product as such, get them to wants to taste it.
But you're in every Dunn's, I presume, are you?
We're in with the Simply Better brand. We're in every Dunn's. We do select Tesco's, select super value stores. So we're always looking for more stores. Yeah, definitely.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
So anybody who wants to find you will find you down in New Ross.
Yeah.
And the name above the door is Wexford Home Preserves.
Home Preserves, yeah.
And the name is Tom Sinnott.
Yeah.
Laura will probably do the business. And then, so will you come back to us again, possibly in 2 years' time, and tell us, will you ever think of going into the UK? Forget about Brexit at the moment. Just, would you look at the UK?
We would look at the UK, yeah, most definitely. Again, it's about being careful about what you take on. Like, we're not going to take on something that we can't do. So we just have to fight our battles, or, do.
But if a Harrods or a Selfridges...
Oh, yeah, they're the...
Well, Mina Rust of...
I know
Mina's,
Mina, yeah.
Well, now, she's got in there.
That's right, yeah.
So maybe a phone call to Mina would sort you out and put you in contact with the right person. They're the ones you want to be,
because they're great for your stature. And, if you're in those stores, everyone thinks, geez, you have the best products. So, yeah, that would be...
And that's exactly what Mina said, because that brought her to Denmark as well.
Really?
And I think she's now in Netherlands as well.
Very good, yeah.
If you follow her on social, she's fantastic.
Very good,
yeah. Very good. Tom Sinnott of Wexford Home Preserves, thank you very much for joining us on that great business show. And before I forget it, I was speaking to our youngest ever member of Team GBS. That's Evan Quaid of Quaid Candles. He's that 16-year-old who was listed by Aldi in all of their 145 stores. You can listen back to his online story on the previous episode. I can't remember, probably 4 weeks ago, 3-4 weeks ago.
It depressed me.
He tells me that he's
so much with his life.
He tells me that he's already, I think, sold out almost, and there's only a handful of his wax melts.
He does these in
online.
Back of the shed of the house.
Yeah. Episode 10, Alison has just told me. So if you want to hear Evan's story, episode 10 of That Great Business Show, and you'll also find him at quaidcandles.com, if I remember. And he has just a handful left for Christmas.
You're listening to That Great Business Show with Connell O'Moran and Jamie Heaslip. ThatGreatBusinessShow.com. This could be your ad on That Great Business Show.
ThatGreatBusinessShow.com is brought to you every week courtesy of De Facto Shaving Oil, costing just €16 for more than a year's supply. It's the ideal present from a child to a parent. Help your kids buy it online now at defactoshave.com.
That Great Business Show.
Now, we've said it often enough in the past, you have to be more than a little mad to set up your own business. But as committed entrepreneurs, we know you'd also be even more mad not to. Karen O'Neill's CV in the international drinks industry reads like she was heading for the stars. Previously, she was head of marketing for PepsiCo in Ireland. Before that, she was head of global cider for Heineken, based in the Netherlands. But no, that wasn't enough. She had to give it all up and set up her own rival drinks company. BeeKon is her brand. B is for Buzzy Bees. We'll get to that in a mo. Con is for Karen O'Neill. And Karen joins us on That Great Business Show right now. Karen, you are most welcome.
Delighted to join you, gents.
BeeKon. The B part.
Hold on. Before we get there, I need the backstory here. You know me. I need the full story. How do you go from that? You're going up and to the right on the chart when it comes to the traditional career path. And then you have your Jerry Maguire moment.
Yeah, certainly.
And you get into the business of honey.
Yeah, I was on an amazing trajectory. I had the dream job, particularly in Heineken. So I was travelling the world launching cider. And there was very little wrong with my life, except there came to a point where I had a crisis of conscience. And I also felt, was I put on this world to fuel the profit of a multinational in terms of bottom line? There was more to it. So I figured, and I also felt slightly uninspired. I felt that a lot of the big players were doing things in a very linear way, and there was a better way. So I jumped ship, quite literally. I did a Jerry Maguire. Yeah, I probably
Did you write a manifesto like Jerry, or?
No, I had my metaphorical goldfish in my hand. No one left with me, which I was slightly disappointed by. But
describe the moment or the emotion, or was it sudden, or was it over 6 months or 2 years?
Okay, so global head of cider, I had a particular point of view and a philosophy that I was trying to embed in the business, and in truth, it wasn't delivered at the right time. The business wasn't ready for it. I wanted to introduce a program of change and a real substance. And it started with the bees. So every orchard is lined with bees. And actually that's the start of the cultivation of the cider process. And, because I couldn't initiate that inside in Heineken, I felt that actually there was room for me to do it elsewhere. So I left. I left on a point of conviction. And also my values didn't quite stack up with the corporate values. I wanted to show up differently in life. And as a result of that.
What was the conversation like? Did you suddenly storm into an office, or was it over a period of time?
I've never been asked this, actually. This is interesting. So it was at the time where Ireland was experiencing its last recession, and
before the other one.
Yeah, I had all Irish agencies. Unashamedly, I was waving the Irish flag, even though I was in a corporate role in Amsterdam. And I'll never forget that all the Irish agencies came up with this big showdown with the CMO at the time, and we'd worked for months. Like, I mean months. It's excruciating. The amount of work that has to go into a big showdown to present a new campaign to the CMO is enormous. So we went in, and within 10 minutes, he was a colourful character who knew his own mind with respect. It wasn't always right. Who's to say who's right, who's wrong? But they were asked to leave quite quickly in that meeting. And when they left, that was my turning point. And I voiced an opinion, which is that I cared about them. I cared about the work that we had done, and that if I couldn't protect them, I was in the wrong job. And it wasn't for me. And as a result,
Jamie, question to you. A colourful character who knows his own mind, what would that mean to you?
It would mean that...
Would the B word come to mind? X.
No, I'm guessing he wanted to go a certain direction, was very clear on that, and that maybe, regardless of your opinion, he didn't like what he saw.
Yeah, he didn't like what he saw, which was fine.
Yeah.
But I think there's a way of
100%. How you convey that and how you communicate that.
Yeah. Whereas I could see these guys after flying all the way over from Ireland, and I had so much respect for the work that they'd done, and I didn't respect that process. But yet I was part of it, and that was the real crisis of conscience for me. So it fundamentally changed. That moment fundamentally changed how I show up as a person and as a professional. Fundamentally.
So the moment you go, right, that's it, I'm gone. Right? How do you land in a swarm of bees?
Well, firstly, I went into free fall. So for a full year, I had a tough time. I could not say my own name without saying Karen O'Neill from Heineken, until I hit bottom and came back up and realised there's another way of saying my name, which is actually to combine it with B and make a new product called BeeKon. So what I'm giving you is what I think a lot of drinks companies give you is line of sight of what's down the road. There's an obvious prediction on the steps that they're making. What I'm giving you is a look around the corner. So it's a look around something that is the future. So I foresee a future where people are counting chemicals and very little else.
I'd agree, yeah.
Particularly on the back of COVID. And so I set about creating one of the cleanest products, alcohol products that there is. So when I say clean, I ferment honey. I do not add any sulfites. And believe it or not, it's the sulfites that give you, a lot of the times, that give you the hangover. I don't add any sulfites, any preservatives, any colorants, or any artificial stuff.
I'm literally trying to look up the ingredients in the back, and it's
honey and water. I ferment honey and water. And then
it's very small, the ingredient list.
And I'm the person who quarters the limes,
amazing.
all 100 kg of them, and I grind the ginger. It goes in fresh. So we've created a series of flavors. There's the classic, which is almost like a honey prosecco at 5%. And then there's the ginger lime, and we just recently launched the elderflower and lemon, which is delicious.
So here's one, right? When I was playing, we were kind of told to go pure on what you're drinking, right? For a couple of reasons. One was calories, another one was hangovers. So I would have been vodka soda water with a squeeze of lime. Not the cordial, had to be fresh. Because again, artificial sugars, right? And, you know, didn't really get a whole lot of hangovers from that if I stayed on it. Now this, with very little chemicals in it, I'm guessing that's something similar, is it?
Yeah, look, has it been scientifically proven? No.
What are the customers
Our
saying?
straw poll of all of our customers are blown away by the fact that it is so clean and they don't get that nasty fuzzy head. The beauty about this as well, Jamie, is it's the equivalent of a tablespoon of honey in every bottle. So it contains and retains all of the polyphenol goodness that's in honey. So if you're familiar with polyphenol goodness, it has restorative benefits, cardiovascular benefits, and there's a multitude of other benefits. Now, look, I am not for 1 second suggesting that this is a healthy alcohol. But what I am suggesting is that there are better choices out there. And this BeeKon is an invitation to everybody in their life, not just an alcohol, but to make better choices.
I heard you say there that you are the cutter of the limes and the grinder of everything else.
It's a metaphor for my life right now.
Are we talking to the entire team? Is Karen O'Neill Con, is she the entire company?
It's a great question. I'm a duo. So myself and my partner, Helen, she's my partner in life and in business. So we're doubling up on this. So so you'll see us. If you follow us on Instagram, you'll see the two of us. We're out in the van and sometimes people laugh. So it's a big BeeKon bus. We call it the BeeKon bus. The BeeKon bus rocks up because we had to get in the middle of COVID because we kept blowing out our tyres in the car because the cases are so heavy. So we now have this BeeKon bus. But when you see Helen's quite small and petite. When you see her jumping down off the bus, you can see the double take, particularly of a lot of blokes looking going, I cannot believe that girl's just rocked up into that super value and she's jumping down it. And,
so you're the delivery van drivers, you're
Jamie,
everything. You stack it the whole lot.
Yeah, we do have a distributor. We have a great distributor, Classic Drinks, who are part of the Palace Foods network. But for a lot of the super values and some of the customers, we do it ourselves. And we have a really good online business. So for direct orders to consumers' front doors, we're actually pretty passionate about when we can, we show up, and you get the founders delivering the bottle. Right? Yeah, you do actually. It's like beep beep, here we come, like in the BeeKon bus.
Oh, what's the minimum order to have the two of you call around?
It's always negotiable, but it is a case. It is a case. You have to buy a case for.
But I'm listening. God, that sounds like a lot of hard work between the two of you, and it's not really sustainable in the longer term, is it?
No. We have big plans. So, look, this year was a disruptive year. I'm not even going to mention the sea, but rest assured, like when March hit, we were left with nothing because we had seeded in a lot of the cool bars and restaurants and hotels all over Dublin, and that fell off a cliff. And we started from nothing. In March and rebuilt it back up to the point now where we gather sales data in quite a few of the super values, and we're outselling 90% of the craft beers. Like we're doing, like once people buy into this and get it and taste it, they realise, okay, this is a game changer, something really different and new. And our philosophy is different as well.
And trying to get that message across, though, if you're carrying the cans, chopping the limes, etc., you're also trying to get the message across, which is another layer of busyness onto you. How do you do that successfully?
We don't see that as being busy. We actually love that part of it. So in our head, we ask ourselves one question, right? So my strategy is based on one question, which is how would a bee do it? How would a bee do it? If we adopt...
I've heard that one before.
Yeah, it's the first. But if we adopted more behaviors, pardon the pun, it's a gift that keeps giving, we'd all be a lot healthier and happier. I kid you not. There's so much we have to learn from these little creatures.
Well, we need them as well, don't we?
I'm going to come on to that. Yeah, it's a good call. But so just back to the point. We're building a swarm of followers, and that starts with our customers who are phenomenal. Every independent off license, all their staff. Like, so when you're handcuffed in a pandemic, you've very little outlets, but the staff is one of your swarms. But just back to your point, Jamie, I didn't jump ship from a really good job in Heineken just to go create another alcohol product. So here's the dream. I stuck to alcohol because it's what I do best, but it's not what I'm going to become famous for. So the dream is that I'm looking to cultivate one of the largest urban pollination programs. I'm trying to convince every publican, off-licence owner and hotelier...
Hive on the roof?
To either do hives on the roof, Or we've partnered with men's sheds, and they make we've loads of little bee hotels.
He has pubs, you know.
I do know that. Beehives. Every single bar and off license gets Irish organic wildflower seed bombs 3 times a year to give to the customer. So you don't give a drip mat, you give a little sachet of Irish wildflower seeds. So you go home. So we've distributed thousands of those. We've partnered with Airfield, and we brought all the staff on bee experiences where they don the white suits and they understand the growing decisions that they're making in their bars and how to cultivate their own mint rather than import it from Morocco or wherever. So there's so many choices, and it's back to better choices. So that's the dream. I'm looking to actually cultivate one of the largest urban pollination programs that there is.
Can we have someone from one of those
Farmany.
urban farms?
Farmany,
yeah.
Paul, wasn't it? Paul from Farmany.
And then I know Jack McGrath, a Ulster player right now. He has 2 hives on his flat roof as well.
Watch the urban landscape in the next 3 years.
Jack
And the
McGrath lives
bees,
down Greystones way, doesn't he?
He lives in Greystone, so on his house out that way,
they're more likely to survive. They're 33% more likely to survive in a city setting. So they love the buzz of a city. So let's give them a fair shot.
Buzz of the city.
I told you.
The gift that keeps
I told you. It's the gift that keeps
so tell me
giving.
this though, before you go, like what's the market opportunity here?
So look, cider's declining. People are looking for healthier and better. It's not just an Irish market opportunity. There's a massive export opportunity here. Whatever great response I get in Ireland, it's doubled down and magnified tenfold internationally, both in Europe and US. They love it because it's so different. So let's think back of Red Bull when it landed in our lives. None of us had a clue what it was. I keep getting asked, what's this? It's something different. It's a whole new category. It's presented in a beehive-shaped bottle and it's brave. So my ambition for this is it becomes a genuine global brand that actually sits nicely into a space where people are looking to make better, more conscientious choices. So export, definitely Irish domination and
world domination. Here we go.
And impact wherever we go, particularly for the bees.
And what do you need from Team GBS? Do you need funds? Do you need access to markets? Do you need to get into his pubs?
Well, twofold. So locally, you know what?
Thanks, Conal.
Yeah.
Always put me on the spot. I love that one.
Importantly, export access to really good distributors who are sympathetic to startups. That's a really hard thing to crack. You can have distributors that have a couple of 100,000 of lists of products on their listing sheet, and you just never get the share of voice. So from an export perspective, choiceful distributor decisions will need to be made, and any support there would be really gratefully received. Locally, my ask of anybody listening to this is just seek it out. Ask for it. Invariably, there will be bars, there will be off-license that don't have it. But the more people that ask for it, the higher likelihood I will see this time next year.
And you said independent booze shops are selling it. What about O'Brien's? Or O'Brien's listing it?
No, I'd love to get O'Brien's.
Okay, there's the ask.
I would actually love to get it. I'd love to get the Irish retailers, so O'Brien's and Dunn's and SuperValue. SuperValue have been very good to us. Yeah. We're not on a national listing, but that's okay. But I would love to get the Irish. This is something different, and I'm not selling them a pub. It's selling.
I've never interviewed O'Brien's, and I'm going to put out a public invitation to them to come on to That Great Business Show, because I'd love to know the whole O'Brien story. They've got
it's a fascinating Irish startup story.
Brilliant business.
Yeah.
I'd love to know how they've dealt with understanding what the on-trade has gone through. I'd love to know what the off-trade has gone through as well.
There you go now.
We
could ask all of these questions if they come on, and we'll also get you listed. Is that okay?
There we go.
Okay.
Great Christmas present.
Karen O'Neill, she is the KON of BeeKon. Is it BeeKon or BeeKon, or do you care?
What feels better for you to say?
BeeKon.
There you go.
Okay.
That works.
That works for me. Thank you so much for joining us on That Great Business Show. And remember, if you want to have a company, yours or somebody else's, featured on That Great Business Show, go on to our website. Down at the bottom, we've put a button there to share your story. That'll tell you what we're looking for. And remember, we're gender balanced, so we're always looking for great women founders, just like Karen.
Subscribe today to That Great Business Show on your favourite podcast platform, including Apple and Spotify.
Our next great company is startup Alcass, headed by one-time Kerry GAA physio Ed Harnett. Based in Cork, Alcass wants us to sit up properly, especially with so many of us slouching on the couch as we work from home. Alcass has developed a clever piece of kit, a little sensor the size of maybe a €2 coin that knows when you're curving your spine the incorrect way, forward, backwards or sideways. It's constantly checking you and warning you to improve your posture. And who would want this? Well, founder Ed hopes every company that has a mainly sedentary workforce does. Think of the thousands and thousands of people who work in, say, call centres for a start. And here, to make his own pitch to get more paying customers, is Ed Harnett. Hi, Ed.
Hi, Colin. How are you?
Thank you very much for coming to us at That Great Business Show. Let's start with the tough bits, because I've just found out that you have just applied for a patent. I know enough about patents to know that's an extraordinarily expensive pastime when you're not even sure that it's going to work.
Yes, it is expensive, but the process was made quite easy for us, I have to say, with a great legal firm here in Dublin, Mason, Hayes and Curran.
That's 10% off your bill
that's
already.
That's 10%.
Yeah,
I was thinking, I was hoping 20%. Yeah, it can be arduous, but we felt that we have a very nice piece of technology.
And tell me what that is. What are you protecting?
So the technology in the sensor can monitor your posture when you're sitting.
You've just made me sit up.
Colin. But then when you get up to move, it will trip over into step counting automatically. So the firmware in that is what we've patented.
And is anybody else doing this? Because this sounds to me like a Fitbit. Jamie, you probably know all about this stuff. Kitman, anything like that?
No, they don't get into the hardware side of things, but I imagine there's competition in terms of making sure your posture's right. Is that right?
There are wearables out there, not in the exact corporate wellness space that we're in. They're more B2C, buy them on Amazon, etc. So we've looked at the market here in the wellness space, and we've gone for it. And we see a big gap. How
big is, because obviously your background's being physio, is that right?
Yes, right. Yeah.
So how big, give an idea of the cost to an employer of someone being out with posture type issues? Okay,
so if we take a gross look at it in Ireland alone, 11 million days per annum lost to absenteeism at a cost of approximately €1.5 billion.
But that's not just down to backs.
It's wellness.
Okay. Yeah. Sore heads. Sore feet.
Well, so we're aiming to target movement issues as well. So if you look at the sedentary issues associated with sitting still for 8 hours a day. So from that, we have like the Irish Heart Foundation, say that with a more active workforce, you will reduce sick days by almost 30% per annum.
So, but that's a tangible cost. We say
yes. 1.5 billion in Ireland.
So you can take a third off that, potentially.
We'd love it, yeah.
But sorry, as a savings to employers.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Wow. Are they buying into it? Like, there's a wellness offer everywhere now.
There is, but not many of them are actually providing a return on investment for the customer. So our product will do that through our data analytics. There is a big spend, but it's not working to date. And that's the gap we see. That's the market we see. And that's what we're going for.
And you are doing it as a service, software as a service, correct? So therefore, if my memory is right, it's €10 per seat per month would be...
Per week.
Per week, I beg your pardon.
Yeah.
I've just increased the cost fourfold. That sounds like a lot of money to an employer.
It will be if you sit down and just multiply it per head. But if you then look at the cost of healthcare that they're spending already, it's minuscule. So, for example, we know a company that are spending €2 million a year just to get their employees to stretch 3 times per shift in a day. So to move away from your workstation, do some stretches and sit back down and get back to work, that time is costing a particular company.
Because there isn't a person, man, woman or child stretching them. It's just
themselves having to do it. So that's their effort.
Okay, so if they give you 2 million, what do you do for them?
So we'll let them sit where they are. We're going to correct their posture in real time. Our app can deliver exercises to them at their workstation. They can stay doing the job they're supposed to be doing without interruption, and they can just combat this in real time.
Now, I know you're a physio, but is posture kind of Do physios have particular areas that they love? Somebody might like the back of the leg or the neck or something.
Yeah, we all have
posture
special
your
interests.
thing?
It is my thing, yeah. It is my thing. And ergonomics on top of that as well, yeah.
But I imagine it's incredibly important because if you think about it, you're sitting at a desk for, 8 hours, 9 hours a day?
Yeah.
If you're slouched over, you're going to get issues in your neck, your shoulders, your lower back, all sorts of issues. Having had a career and an injury that involved my back, I know how important the back is and the knock-on effects of it all. I'm just curious about like how would you get employees to wear it? Like, I know you physically, it's a strap or something like that, but like, are you being successful getting employees to wear it? Like,
Jamie, we had a very successful pilot study in Cork with 80 seated employees in a government agency. And they've asked us to come back to present because the interest was so high.
Tell us the results, though.
So the results was that back and neck pain reduced over a period of time for the people who had back and neck pain going into the study. Wow. Uptake was fantastic. We had no issues with the wearability of it. It had adhesives to the skin with med-grade adhesive. You won't know it's on when you feel it. When you have it on. And it was quite easy. It was actually much better than we thought it was going to be. It was much easier. I'm
going to describe it now because it's in front of me. It's a little white thing, a little bit thicker than a button, maybe. Yeah. And you stick that on. Now, do you take that off in the evening when you go home, or
so at the moment it's a corporate wellness? It's a corporate wellness solution. So we ideally want that to be put on in the morning when you arrive and take it off before you go home.
Now, you know what's going to happen here. There's going to be people saying Big Brother and that you're moving too much because you're going into for coffee or for cigarettes and for, the people.
Yes, I get that. But, we're monitoring a workforce, not individuals. And our data will show that. The data is anonymized and aggregated. And we can look at different areas of a workforce. Yeah. So, for example, in manufacturing, you can pick a certain area of the plant and see what's going on in that zone. So you're looking at what are 10 people doing, not what one person is doing.
With that pilot that you run, were you able to show tangible return on investment? I know it was a pilot. They probably didn't pay for the pilot. Probably
correct.
A bit of a pro bono going on there. Everyone went in a contract deal. But were you able to show the monetary savings to them?
We were able to show them where their best hours and worst hours of the day, best and worst days of the week. So that would allow...
What do you mean by best and worst there?
So if we see of posture, so the best times of the day and the worst times of the day. So for a corporate, we understand from research that when your posture is poor and you're slouching, you're thrown down on your chair or your desk, your productivity can't be that high, surely. So this corporate now is looking at what they should do in those hours.
What were the hours?
Perk everyone
I'm
up.
Curious now. Like, when are we at our best and when are we at our worst?
Very revealing. So, funnily enough, it's 2 to 3 p.m. Imagine that.
I could imagine.
So you come back from your desk.
That's worst hours now.
And you're just like,
yeah. Your food is
you just had lunch.
So you could look at the diet in the canteen.
Flying it.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm not doing great or something like that.
And it's aggregated, don't forget. So we're not big brothering this stuff.
Yeah.
And what day of the week is worst?
It was Thursday, actually. Interestingly enough.
I would have thought Monday would have been.
Or Friday, when people are just...
Friday you're excited.
Yeah. Friday you're perked up and you're ready to go.
And did you tell me that is actually being manufactured in Fermanagh?
It will be, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And where or how did you find a Fermanagh firm?
We were actually over in... we went all the way to Germany to find them. We were over at a medical gig in Dusseldorf last year. And they wandered up to their Enterprise Ireland stand.
These guys from Fermanagh?
From Fermanagh, yeah.
And the conversation started from there?
It did indeed, yeah.
And it went to the bar, I'd say?
It did that evening, yeah. And went to Fermanagh the next day.
When was the deal done?
Well, we're still in negotiation with them. Yeah. And
what can they do for you?
So they can source the components of the board, the sensor inside.
And that is the brains?
They can assemble it, yes.
And how are you, we've discussed the patent because I'm always interested in patents, but how else are you going to protect that? So I presume, and I'm holding this thing in my hand, it's very light. Mm-hmm. And it's, as I say, it's like a little, I don't know, like a lozenge or something, that if a large corporation beginning with M or A or something was to come along and just take it on you and put it onto a something wearable. Would that not work?
Yeah, well, the wearable that you might be referring to could be something like a watch, perhaps.
Could be one of those.
Could be one of those. But this is on the torso. So this is not going to be as accurate if you're wearing it at your wrist, quite simply.
But protections beyond that, to be nice to you are a little blip on these people's
absolutely
radars.
Yeah. So look, I guess we can't protect against everyone. We don't have the might against a $2 trillion company.
Yeah.
What we do
not
have,
that we're talking about a $2 trillion company.
We're of course we're not up around that. So look, we've come up with a novel idea to solve a big problem, and we're absolutely going for it. And it's a data driven solution. And who knows, $2 trillion companies might partner with us.
We were talking about some obvious ones there. Like, are there other companies being as specific as you? Because it's very powerful to find and go after a niche marketplace, and particularly when you're saving people money. Over the long run. Is there many other people in this space with the depth of experience in the marketplace? Like, you've spent a lot of your career fixing these problems. You're trying to get ahead of the problems now.
Yes. Yeah.
What's the marketplace are like, or what's the competition like?
So the competition is mostly indirect. So we don't have a direct competitor in the wearable space that's targeting this exact niche market. So some of our competitors, for example, would be gym classes, yoga classes, Pilates, trying to get exercise going to combat this problem. But that's the science tells us actually that an hour in the gym every evening after 8 hours sitting does not undo what you just did in your seat. So that money, isn't going to work. So if this problem isn't corrected in real time, during the day, every minute, every hour, by just developing a habit, this is behavioral healthcare that we're introducing here.
Wow.
Just looking at you, you are sitting up straight. Are you
told me to.
Are you wearing it at the moment?
No, I'm not actually, no.
And did you, or have you worn it?
I have indeed, yeah.
And so it feels that you're slouching or whatever, and then it buzzes on your phone. Is that it?
No, it buzzes on you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it tells me, get up.
So it's sent to the app on your phone. So when you put it on first, you calibrate it with your phone, with the app, and you find your nice, comfortable, upright position. And when you come out of that, it gives you a sensation that you've lost your good posture.
And are you correcting to the correct position? How can you be sure of that?
Well, you're not so sure of that. What you're doing is, like, we don't, it's not good to stay in an upright, erect position all of the entire day. That's not good for your spine either. The spine and our joints thrive on movement. The problem happens when the body just succumbs to gravity and you slouch in your chair and you stay there. You put abnormal pressure to your discs and your facet joints, and we get physiological issues at that point. Correcting yourself regularly combats that. And then that's what we've done.
And do you give, are you still practicing as physio?
I am, yeah.
Do you give your patients?
Not yet, but that will be the plan, yeah. So I lecture every patient on posture for sure. Yeah, and that's where it came from.
How we do?
I wouldn't want you to see my back anyway, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the ask? Because you are actually quite specific about what you're looking for. You are looking for large corporations, the big call centres called, there's one down in Cork, isn't there? Used to be Vox Pro, it's now called?
Yes, TELUS.
TELUS, would you like to have a chat with TELUS, wouldn't you?
I would love to have a chat with
TELUS. Because TELUS has many, many people sitting down and possibly slouching.
Absolutely,
Not that I'd know, but anyway. And then out of that,
Dan Kiley and Pat Phelan, they're the kings of Cork, aren't they?
And Linda Kiley is the queen of Cork.
Yes, so maybe if they're listening, they could give you a shout out.
Come along.
The other thing he's doing, which is interesting, is using Cork wisely as his base, trying to find large corporations, international corporations based in Cork, to bring him abroad. So the pharma companies, etc.
Cork, Limerick as well. There's a lot of big FDI around there.
Yeah. So we're lucky in this country that we have these multinationals sitting on our doorsteps, and indeed large local Irish companies as well. So the route to market is quite simple. We're going to start local. The sweet spot is there. We're going to chat to these guys on our doorstep and see if we can go.
What's the big manufacturer there in Kerry, the Irish one?
Ed Harty didn't do
No, makes all the radiators and coolers and stuff like that.
This is bad. I can't remember. In Kerry.
I think it's in Kerry.
It's not Leap Hair.
God, I'm going to get killed in
Leap
this
Hair
one.
in Tralee is...
Maybe we can get my counties mixed up. Probably am.
Okay,
I'll come back on that.
yeah.
We can edit. You can edit that part out.
Glen Dim
No, we
Place.
never. There we go.
Oh Jesus, they're up in the border counties. That's Martin Nocton. But these fellas, you're not. They're lifting radiators around the place. We're looking for fellas who are sitting.
Yeah, no, but the people in the
seats.
factory, like you're looking at those kind of people as well.
Yeah, well, you know, just before I left this morning, we had a chat with a medical device company who are manufacturing, and talks are ongoing with them now and going quite well in Cork. So it's not just people who sit down. So in manufacturing, you get a lot of people who sit in really poor postures while they do their job as well. So yeah, it's employee wellness. That's our space.
Okay, well, that is the space. That is Ed Harnett, and his company is called Alcass, Alcass, but the actual little thing is called Habitus
Posture. Yeah,
that's nice name. Habitus. So anybody who wants to find you will find you at alcass.com.
It's all go, let Cursey know on thatgreatbusinessshow.com.
Thatgreatbusinessshow.com is backed by De Facto Shaving Oil. Team GBS members know the rules. If they back us, we back them. So right now, go onto the website, defactoshave.com, and buy your shaving supplies for all of 2021. One bottle can last more than a year.
This could be your ad on That Great Business Show.
Now, we're always gender balanced, always interesting. That's the Great Business Show. On this episode 13, our second woman founder is Sonia Neary of Wellola. Wellola wanted to connect hospitals, clinics and their patients anywhere, anytime for the last 4 years. And she was doing that well before COVID hit. So given the global pandemic has changed how we see and how we do most things, it could be that Wellola is an idea or a business whose time has rightly come. Who better to tell us if she's finally hit the big time than founder Sonia Neary herself. Sonia, how are you? And welcome to That Great Business Show.
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Are you having a good COVID?
Yeah, it sounds really odd. It does sound really odd, but yes, unfortunately we are. You know, it's been a boom time for business. It's been a boom time for the healthcare industry to digitize. You know, like I had adopted to this kind of way of working for a very long time, and across the globe they have, but certainly in Ireland, and there's some really leaders that I look up to in the kind of Digital Health Academy and the HSC and things like that have adopted and moved our healthcare system, you know, forward a decade in terms of the digitization of things. So.
Because they were a decade in arrears.
Yeah,
if not more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So we're not exactly kind of ahead of anything at the moment. We're just about right.
Possibly, yes.
And what's the future? Because what are you trying to do? You are trying to you're trying to get us to see our doctors in all types of doctors digitally.
Yeah, essentially. So as you guys know, I'm a physio by trade, and my co-founder Greg is a practicing medic. We really have this vision about making sure that only the sickest of our sick are hospitalised. And these days, with the technology that is available, that can actually be a reality. You know, the majority of us, if we could, would prefer to be treated at home than be treated in a hospital setting. And the cost of kind of really old-fashioned ways of communicating is huge. You know, so like in the NHS in 2019, they spent about 100 million on post, about £1 billion on patients just not showing up for appointments. So really simple tools like what ours offers can offer you, you know, appointment reminders, the ability to manage your appointments, have a video call instead of not showing up, all that lovely stuff. And then we have other things, you know, so you can complete forms, get resources. Anything that traditionally is done on paper or through fax or phone archaically is now done digitally, and it's done in a very secure way because you're handling really sensitive data.
Is that the key? That, I mean, you can use Zoom, you can use a Google Hangout, you can use FaceTime, WhatsApp, all these great things, DocuSign for documents, right? Yeah. But is the key thing here the fact that it's medical data essentially?
Yes, yeah, it's designed in a particular way. So there are lots of really nice consumer-facing tools, you know, but I mean, it's only a matter of time before, you know, someone's using Zoom to have a counselling session and that gets hacked and globally launched, you know, and that's really sensitive information. So we handle our data in a particular way that ensures that kind of thing can't happen to it. So
hang on a second now. A lot many companies say that. But wasn't the Department of something in the US hacked the other day?
That's right. I believe so.
Yeah.
Yes. But you can do everything that is humanly possible to put protection on your system. So you code in a particular way, you host in a particular environment, you encrypt in transit and at rest. And we meet things like ISO 27001. It's a standard. It sounds really unexciting, and there was a lot of unexciting work involved in securing it. But like for an SME, that's quite a thing to, that kind of label to put on your product. It's managed by Deloitte, so they have all these like really interesting predictive analytical tools on the thing to make sure that if someone tries to get in, at least we're aware of it and can do something about it. So yeah, it is a kind of a medical grade communication system, quite different to the consumer facing tools.
And what is holding back the adoption of this? I mean, to me, it's so bloomin' obvious. And yet there are doctors, and within that there are hospitals as well, who have different systems and who really don't want to do it any which way except their way, the way that they've done it for 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah, I think what's challenging is two things. One is kind of the mindset and the adoption of, can I offer the same kind of care through a tool like that as I can in person? And we're not trying to replace in-person care. We're trying to say, well, this is an alternative for the appropriate kinds of patients that you can use it for. And the other problem is there is this kind of really old infrastructure, with potholes, and it doesn't talk to, one system here is on paper. In Clontarf, where I used to work, it was a paper system, that kind of way. Another system might be like St. James's and super, forward thinking in electronic healthcare records. And even in St. James's, I think they have close on a couple of hundred of different smaller, technical systems. So it's connecting all those dots to make care delivery smoother, but also not to disturb the workflow of the clinician too much.
Sure. We don't even have a unique identifier number in this country, which is another problem if you're moving between all these crazy different systems that don't talk to each other.
Yes.
Because we're all afraid that we're all going to be identified, even though Facebook and Apple and Google know everything about us.
That's the kind of...
It's nonsense. Absolute bloody
the difference,
nonsense.
or not the difference. That's the conflict, isn't it? And like, what other challenges are you guys finding, or what successes? Sorry, let's not focus on the negatives here. What are the successes you can talk to about the use of this product, how it's making practices more efficient, doctors more efficient? What good news can you give us about the product?
Yeah, so good news. There's been loads, you see, in the last couple of months. So our system can be sort of white labelled for different enterprises, and some really exciting enterprises have taken up on it. So like in the UK, we have the British Association of Counsellors and Psychotherapists. They're like the largest mental health care network in the UK, 50,000 of them. They've got a version of Wellola. The Irish version of it also, the IACP, are using it. We just launched with Nutricia Ireland, who are servicing nursing homes with it. So they've got like specialty wound care nurses, speech and language therapists, nutritionists, etc., caring for residents of nursing homes through their version of our portal. So what's really exciting, and it wasn't a vertical that we were looking at, is we started working with a lot of charities in Ireland. So kind of the Mental Health Reform Group have connected us up with kind of homeless charities and charities that service the older person, which provide really interesting insights in how we can tweak the platform to be, how could it be, voice enabled, for example, for someone who can't, use their hands or doesn't have the dexterity. Like, how far can we push the accessibility so it's feasible for non-technological people and technophobes to use it, because there's no point in having a digital healthcare tool that excludes half the population.
And what are the hurdles, we're talking a lot about hospitals and stuff like that. What are the hurdles being faced by a GP? Like, why would they not be using this? Because again, I'm like, I don't get it, lads. I mean, you can be way more efficient with your time, turnover of patients. I mean... And
you're keeping away from them if they're sick. Yeah.
They're sick. And if someone's serious enough that you think, okay, then come in or refer them on pretty quickly. What are the hurdles stopping them?
It's really interesting. So in the UK, when COVID hit, phone calls went up 40% in GP practices. Video went up about 5%. And I think it's because of workflow processes. Because, people have their ways of doing things. And sometimes just picking up the phone and having a conversation is enough to do that whole de-risking piece before they bring someone in. So really interestingly for us, the GP vertical has been the least sticky of the kind of verticals we've gone after. So the mental health care arena, they are much more comfortable with it because it's kind of like a half an hour, 45-minute long counselling or therapy session. Yeah. You can do group work through it and things like that, and whiteboarding and all this lovely stuff. So it's really interesting, and sometimes it just takes going there to find out that actually wasn't quite the product market fit that seems so obvious.
Yeah.
because of current practices, and workflow and things they use at work that, doesn't fit with video for whatever reason,
And what learnings have you had? Because obviously you said we were looking at your graph, it was tipping away nicely, going up and to the right. I'm sure you had a bit of a hockey stick moment then come March, April time.
Yeah.
What are the learnings in that period, and how's that going to inform your next steps?
Oh, that's a heavy one. So I suppose the learning curve was we had to sort of turn over a few products very, very quickly. And in the speed of that, there is... I think you sacrifice quality sometimes. So I think that what I would be doing in future is kind of weighing that out and going, okay, well, we could deliver to you, this product in a week, but actually if you give us 2 weeks, we will deliver it to our normal standard or a better standard in that kind of way. So that was one of the key learnings. The other learning is that actually people are really willing to adopt and keen to adopt, and the mindset is really there and the leadership is really there now in the Irish healthcare context. Like I'm quite excited about what healthcare in Ireland is going to look like, when I'm needing hospital care potentially, that kind of way further down the line, hopefully. But you know what I mean?
Where were you? What were you doing when you decided that you had enough of rubbing backs or whatever and that you wanted to become an international tech giant?
That's hilarious. I don't know if I ever had that moment. I really enjoy creating things, like, and physios kind of by their nature are problem solvers. I was only just having this conversation with Ed outside, like you kind of...
Another physio.
Yeah, interesting. And I know so many of them in the healthcare, in the technological arena, like the likes of Avril Copeland and Ciara Clancy and, all these really exciting Irish female, obviously tech physios. But yes, you kind of look at what could be the optimal situation here. What is the problem that's presenting? And, by my nature, I think I was trying to fill what's the gap? What can I put in this gap to get us to a more optimal position? And I was working in the hospital environment. I worked 15 years in kind of private practice and in hospitals. And there's so much that's broken. There's so much that's wasted. Like, like all of that, the letters and the fax machines. And what are we doing here? When you look at other industries, you're like, this is just no need for this kind of old-fashioned way of working and the money that's lost.
How far behind are we compared to other markets? Because I'm sure you're getting to see, you said you're in the UK, I'm sure you have ambition for other markets and you're keeping the eye on the other markets. How far behind are we?
I couldn't put it down in years, but certainly...
That's not a good sign.
Yeah, that's very sorry. But they're like in Germany, for example, in Portugal, they've got legislation to digitise. Like they actually have a mandate that their healthcare system needs to have a unique health identifier, and there's a mandate that you should, as a citizen, have the option of a digital front door if you want it for your doctor.
Sorry, a digital front door?
Yes.
What is a digital front door?
It's the opportunity to engage with your healthcare record even online. That you would have access to healthcare through a website or an app, or, that you don't have to physically present in a clinic to get the healthcare you need.
And that is, as you say, in legislation both in Portugal and Germany.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ireland, please copy.
Yes.
And Paul Reid, the new boss or newish boss of the HSE, might do some of this. What Jamie raised the issue there of going international. Are you funded? Can you do it?
Yes, we did a sort of a baby seed round, if you would call it that. Like we're an AI HPSU company and we got a crowdfunding raise about 18 months ago or so.
Crowdfunding?
Yeah.
We're using whom?
Really interesting. Spark Crowd.
Oh, we know them very well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to say they're really nice. Chris, that's right. Yeah, we were one of their first. That's right. Yeah. So we were one of the first Irish companies to fundraise on that platform. And it was largely like I wanted to actually do it in Ireland. We could have gone to the UK and there was kind of Crowdcube and Cedars and stuff like that. But what we developed was a kind of a local set of like ambassadors for our brand.
Which is exactly what Moby said, wasn't it? That he wanted it to be an ambassador,
Yeah, and it's very true, So you got a lot of people, and we're still in touch with most of them, and they kind of still offering a hand and still interested in possibly following on and things like that. So that's really good. But we do kind of want to raise a proper round in Q1 of next year. I was saying to sort of in around sort of 1 to 1.5 million.
Okay, that's a chunky amount.
It's a chunky amount, yeah. But we have some really exciting deals in the pipeline. It's just about delivering on that and getting the resources in place to deliver on those.
Do you want to tell us some of the deals?
It's a huge partnership with an electronic healthcare record provider in the UK.
Okay.
Can't be named, but they've got a sizable chunk of the UK market, and those hospitals and NHS trusts don't have a portal.
That is fantastic. That's a nice one.
We will be plugging that in, yeah.
And beyond the UK?
We have a customer in Italy, and we are exploring Portuguese and German opportunities.
Just out of curiosity, how did you get into Italy?
There was a really cool, there's something called the EIT, the European Institute of Technology and Innovation, and really good for any healthcare technology companies out there that basically offer you training, funding. Like they brought us all around, like Newcastle, Oxford, Grenoble. Like I was actually my husband was like, "Are you getting on another plane?" You know, I was so delighted to actually get a bit of Europe in.
And is that funded by the EU?
Yes, yeah.
And they brought you around. I had never heard of them before.
Fab. And they work in other industries. So there's EIT Health, EIT Food, EIT.
Oh, wow.
And somebody listening to us, how do they find that? Besides giving you a buzz?
Yeah, I think it's EIT.com.
Okay.
But they were amazing to us. And they've lots of really exciting accelerator programs, validation programs.
I'm guessing it's basically kind of like what EI do, but on a European level, is it?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
To the layman.
Yeah, but like we even found out really kind of all about regulation. Like it's this, because it's industry specific. Like we learned all about kind of what's required to deliver in the healthcare industry, and then they bring you to sites where you might be bought, bring you to research sites where they might enhance your product. So like went to universities, polytechnicas, hospitals all around Spain actually, which was lovely too.
Sounds very interesting. Where do we sign up?
It was really nice. It was really nice. Yeah.
The dream. What is it? Where do you want to be in 5-10 years' time?
The dream is Wellola being Europe's most accessible patient portal.
Europe?
Yeah.
What about the United States of America?
I'm interested in that. I'll be really honest. I did try to kind of quite early on raise a funding round where the potential investor said to me, "Are you really going to do this? Are you going to get up and take your family and go to the States?" And I looked him in the eye and said, actually, no, that's not a fit for what I want to do. I do want to think global. I do want to be ambitious, but I want to be realistic about what I can deliver. And the opportunities in Europe are huge. The market is wide open.
There are 550 million people. There are only 320 million, I think, in the States, isn't it?
Yeah, and we're at that cusp of adoption as well, which is really exciting. So there's the mandate, there's the legislation, there's the appetite, and there's not as many players in the market.
Oh, sounds very exciting.
I think you're on to a winner.
Sounds good to me. That is Sonia Neary. She is the boss at Wellola, the co-founder, I think we'll call you, isn't it?
Sure, yeah.
And at Wellola. Thank you so much for joining us on That Great Business Show and continued success. I'm going to be keeping an eye on you, actually.
Now, you might go in that seed round.
Yeah, there's a second one now. Unfortunately, we missed the first one. Our thanks, as usual, to the sound engineers here at the Dublin South FM podcast studios. Studio engineer is Alison O'Dwyer, the smoker. She won't be in the new year. And post-production is done by Peter Rice. Our sleuth of the week this week, finding us two great companies, was Eamon Sayers, whose day job is running the Guinness Enterprise Centre. Gurv Mila Margaret Eamon. As I mentioned earlier, if you want to be featured on That Great Business Show, share your story with us on our website. We have a button there just for that. We're always on thatgreatbusinessshow.com. And finally, the last word, as always, goes to the main man, Mr. Heaslip. Jamie, the floor is yours.
Take care.